Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Noah.
And I'm Camille, and we'll be your MCs for the night. We hope you had an amazing time checking out the booths, and we'll have an even more amazing time checking out the presentations. Before we begin, please make sure that your devices are on mute. On silent, I mean, sorry.
Alrighty. So, without further ado, let's get started. For those of you who aren't here just to eat, you might be wondering what the heck is actually going on. So what this is around you is the showcase for Think Global School. This is showcasing our projects that we worked on throughout the Dubai term. For more info.
So, Think Global School is a traveling high school where great projects are made. So we revolve around what we call the Changemaker curriculum, which instead of focusing on lessons and homework, students immerse themselves in projects that tie into their passions and the country where they are in. There are no limitations except the personal project budget.
With students from all over the world, TGS goes to 4 countries every single year. Last term, we were in Mexico. Next term, we'll be in Greece. And for the past 2 months, we've been here in the UAE. It has felt more like 2 weeks though, because we've had multiple COVID outbreaks. So we're really glad most of us, well, not really most of us, a fifth of us are missing, but we're glad some of us are here today. So yeah, woo!
We have had amazing experiences from dune bashing in Sharjah, hiking in Fujairah, community building activities at the beach, ice skating, and even diving with sharks in the Dubai Aquarium.
Well, it may sound like we've just been partying for the past 2 months. We did have a little bit of school in there as well. We've had 2 modules we've been working on and a variety of personal projects and mastery projects. So without further ado, here is Effie, who will be telling you what personal projects are and showing you her personal project called Rite of Passage.
Okay, let's see. So firstly, personal projects at TGS are basically passion projects. That's a way for us as students to explore something that we personally want to do in the future or something that interests us that we haven't really been able to do before. And then we have our amazing educators who help guide us and guide our learning to challenge us further. So that's really what personal projects are. And I'm going to give you an example of my personal project, which was inspired by something we actually do here at TGS. So mine is Rite of Passage. So firstly, Rite of Passage is a ceremony or event or initiation that marks a change in your life or an event. And it was coined first by the French ethnographer named Arnold van Gennep, and it's a term that we use here at TGS as well. So first, let's begin by picturing a house. And this house is like one of those old Victorian houses, so it's got lots of corridors. It's not like those modern day open houses. And you have numerous corridors. So here are a couple examples of birth, puberty, and marriage. And these are to signify different parts of your life. So birth, a rite of passage could be your naming or christening, for example. It's giving you a place in society. Puberty would be, for example, when you're changing from adolescence to adulthood. It's something we've all been through. And another example is marriage, where your status has changed. You will have a different role in society now. So rites of passages are very different depending on the culture you are born in, and they all share the same 3 phases in common, although depending on which one, they will have a focus on one of the 3 stages, or they'll go through all 3 of them. Doesn't really matter. So the first stage is separation. This is when you step out. So if you picture a house again and a room, you open the door and you put your first foot out. So you're no longer in the kitchen, but you're not quite at the bedroom yet. And you have social anxiety, so you don't want to turn back and go enter the room again. So then the next stage is liminal. And this is the corridor in between that I've talked about previously. And that's where things are not exactly as they used to be. So this could be where you learn a new skill, for example, or you go through a trial that you've not experienced before entering the final stage, which is reintegration. This is when you've completed everything, you have a new status, and it's usually celebrated with an event, a party, or I don't know, like in TGS, we have a school circle that you get asked to join. So that's an example of a reintegration. So I'm going to put this into a global context because this is what really inspired me, was okay, this is something universal, we've all experienced it, regardless of how much emphasis your personal culture puts into it. So my first example is land diving in Vanuatu, which basically is young boys after the age of 8 are allowed to participate in this, and it's handcrafted tower that's 20 to 30 meters tall, and you tie a branch to your ankle and you just have to jump. And you have to jump as far as possible because you don't want to get skewered by the sticks that the tower is made of. And the really symbolic part of it is the fact that if you do complete it, your mother is at the bottom of the tower and she burns a childhood item to signify that you're no longer a child. Another example I have is stone lifting, which is a more European tradition, one that you can see in Iceland and in Scotland to begin with. And these stones, you have to lift them to your waist high and place them on a ledge of some sort. And you may think, oh, that's pretty easy, I could do that. But you really have to train because they're usually over 100 kilograms heavy. I don't know what that is in pounds or any other conversion. Google it, I don't know, sorry. Another example I have is cattle jumping. This takes place in Ethiopia. And it's 15 cows that a young man has to run across 4 times to signify that he is a man, he's able to take care of the family, and he can raise cattle of his own. And it's really interesting because this culture, there is a clear separation between male and female and ages. And there is a really special bond where the women actually get whipped to show the pain they would go through for the man in the family as well. There is a relationship, and they say that it's something symbolic, and it's for the women also their own rite of passage, those scars that they have, that it's something that they're proud of. And another example is the sunrise ceremony, which is an Apache ceremony of the Native Americans. And this is a female rite of passage, and it's essentially a way for the women to learn the skills of healing and cooking. And really, it's done in 4s. Everything is done in 4s for the 4 sacred mountains. So they run to the teepee tent and out 4 times. They dance for 4 nights. Everything is done in 4s for that symbolism. And in the final day, you run as far as possible until you're exhausted. And it's showing that you're leaving home. And you also get a name. Like I mentioned before in birth, you get a name, and that's to show your place in society. You gain a name here as well, which is an Apache name, to show who you are in that community. And then the final example is the one I attempted, and this is a modern day rite of passage, which is learning to drive a car. Now, spoilers, I failed my exam, so it's hard, but essentially the reason this is a rite of passage is because everyone who has a driver's license, and it's a legal driver's license, not you just driving, you've all passed a similar exam. You've all done the same training, and it's something that only people past a certain age do. You don't see 5-year-olds driving a car. And it's symbolic because it's independence. And I don't know if anyone remembers, but when you're a child and you were going on like a trip somewhere, you saw your parents driving. So imagine how strange it is when you've got the driver's license and you're driving your parents somewhere. That's a complete reversal of roles. And And so finally, what is the purpose of this? So throughout human history, dating back centuries, we have a way of measuring time and measuring the passage of your life, whether that's through moon cycles or the sun or the crops. And this is the same thing. It's to show growth and for you as an individual to understand what is happening to me in this moment of time. And it's also a way for us to pass down rituals and traditions, which is something we at TGS do. We have a rite of passage when you first enter, where we pass down this is what TGS is, these are our core values, welcome, now you understand. So that's why a rite of passage is so important, even if you don't actually realize you're doing one. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Effie. That was a very good presentation. Thank you very much. Next up, we will be presenting our modules, and Kiana will be presenting the first module. But she will be presenting the first module before presenting her take on the module with her partner, Ignacio.
Hi. So I'm just going to explain what a module is at TGS. In TGS, 60% of our work is focused on educator-led modules, where we focus on topics relevant to our host country. In the UAE, our modules were on blockchain and robotics. Through workshops, trips to Expo, guest speakers, and other experiences, we have worked on design thinking and pitching skills to create new ideas in these fields. And now, we will be providing a presentation on a robotics summative product this term, which is our pitch on our robot.
Oh, wait. I'm at?
Yeah.
Hello. Hello and welcome. I'm Ignacio.
And I'm Kiana.
And we're here with a design that will revolutionize the underwater surveying industry, the Zhenghe Explorer. Now, as you're probably aware, the ocean is enormous. Over 70% of the world is sea, and yet only 5% of that has been fully explored, mainly due to the issue with actually exploring the deep ocean. Now, however, the issue is that there are many resource-rich areas that are underwater in the form of these semi-metallic nodules. These are both more pure in terms of their metallic content and far less environmentally damaging to the environment compared to surface mining situations that are already available. However, the discoveries that in these areas have not so far been made. The technology is not there so far, and so we'll show you a few of the solutions that are currently available and how we're working to change that.
So the current methods of exploring the ocean floor requires a full expedition by a research ship, but these cost anywhere from $10,000 to $40,000 a day, mainly due to the amount of human crew needed as submersible pilots, oceanographers, and support crew. Additionally, these submersibles are currently in service are limited in both efficiency and range, requiring a human pilot that raises costs and increases the chances of human error accidents. These submersibles are bulky, requiring a compartment for a human pilot or a cable management system, and prohibitively very expensive, and even comparatively low-depth craft costing $4 million or higher. This race has big players, and a breakthrough design would be a huge boost to numerous companies specializing in the nautical exploration industry. These companies listed are some of the most well-known in the field. Their need to continue to grow will need to be filled. And to make this research commercially viable, they will need to be a cheaper method than these ones provided. And we are more than able to satisfy that demand.
Now, I'm sure you're wondering what makes us different. Well, on reviewing these issues, we resolved to meet them at the source. The Zhenghe Explorer is the first design which utilizes a fully autonomous AI system to map the ocean floor without the need for a human crew or expensive equipment. Picture an underwater Roomba, capable of remembering its path and avoiding any obstacles it might find using onboard sensors. And avoiding any obstacles without the need to be stuck to a larger ship. In fact, it doesn't require a sport ship at all. Using an array of top-mounted solar panels and simple algorithms to automatically recharge once its battery is empty, this prototype collects high-detail 3D data and can be left to its own devices for weeks on end, far from the nearest safe harbor. Better yet, the Explorer costs a mere fraction of our competitors' designs, with an intended price lower than $200,000 each, a far cry from the $4 million we previously mentioned.
This design follows the principles of UN Sustainable Development Goal 14, life underwater, avoiding creating excessive pollution by reducing the need for oil-powered ships and surveying, and providing a sustainable powered platform to monitor seabed pollution.
Now, as some of you may be aware, normal GPS locators don't function underwater, and so we've come up with a solution to ensure our maps are accurate. So let me talk you through it. So, let's see. When a drone is first launched, it collects the current GPS signature from satellites and then uses its inbuilt sonar array to measure the sea depth. Once receiving a response and marking the necessary spotting for it, it sinks to a depth to collect the most accurate readings using its ultrasonic sensors. Then, there we go. It collects these signals and compiles them to create mapping data. And then, once it needs to recharge, it climbs back to the surface and sends it to collect sunlight and to send its findings back through satellites, ensuring your 3D maps are consistently up to date down to the exact GPS location.
So currently our team consists of me, the CEO and head engineer.
And I'm the head coder and AI developer.
Our goal is to begin to securing funding for the development of this groundbreaking technology, and once achieved by 2024, produce a functioning prototype. We will then be doing depth testing to ensure our design has the grit to handle extreme underwater pressure, shooting for a market debut in 2026.
We
are
Jung He,
Thank
and
you
thank
for
you for
listening.
listening.
That was honestly very impressive. You guys are living in the future. Next up, also in the robotics module, we have Asia, Mahin, and Kita presenting their take on the summative.
Hi! Hello. We're going to be presenting our pitch from our robotics module as well. Do we have? Okay. Have you ever felt scared of being helpless in a life or death situation?
Introducing AMK, an accessible and easy to use device designed for the future of our healthcare. What is AMK and why do we need it? So our mission is to create a universally known tool to be able to administer CPR. It will be found in all the public places where emergencies may occur.
So how does it work? If someone is in need of CPR, any other person could be able to use the device on any person who needs it. Upon pressing start, medical professionals will be called, and the person using it just needs to follow the instructions on the screen. So the screen supplies step-by-step instructions that the user can follow, and you don't even need any previous CPR knowledge to follow them. Here is our latest prototype. I don't know why it's not playing. Pretend it's playing, it's going up and down. Yes, it's pushing the compressions. Anyway, moving on. So the AMK is made up of 4 components. We have the pump, the screen, the waist strap, and the wristband. So the pump is the most important part of the device because it's actually what administers the compressions. And when you put the age of the user onto the screen, it will change the area of the compressions as well as the pressure. The screen is where you follow the instructions, and you can input the age as well. And at the end, if you succeed, you get a lollipop. So the waist strap is where you attach the waist of the person onto the device so that they're secure when the compressions are being done. And lastly, you have the wristband, which is our most interesting feature, because not only does it detect glucose levels, heart rate, it also detects blood pressure, which is very useful when the medical professionals come and they already have the information necessary.
So when we proposed this idea, we were told that if we do put this in practice, we would make like thousands of dirhams in a week. So we wanted to make that money to buy happiness and the product and to sell the product as well. So
Our target market basically consists of hospitals, and we're going to be starting at a domestic, like a national level, which includes only in the UAE. So some of the hospitals that we're going to be affiliating ourselves with include the Al Latifa Hospital, which is situated in Dubai itself. And we're also going to be catering to the general population in the UAE. And since we have a watch that has nanosensor films that basically can penetrate to the skin and detect glucose levels, we're also going to be catering to diabetic patients in the UAE, which is 19% of the total population, which is a lot. So to market our product better, we came up with the 4 marketing mixes. So the first one is, where is the product going to be manufactured? So we're going to manufacture it in Al Safa in the UAE. And what else is there? I can't see. And we're also going to be hiring qualified engineers and medical experts and coders, including me. And we're also going to, and the product, we've pretty much explained it already, and this is just a rough estimate of our cost. And this is our expansion strategy, because we want to make more money. So we're going to be affiliating ourselves with more hospitals in the UAE and on an international level. That is, if we make a profit that is enough to import it, to export it, and just get money. And we're also going to be developing a mobile app. And our exit strategy is that in case of an emergency, like we don't know what the emergency is, but in case one of us does something and we don't want to work together anymore, our exit strategy is that our product rights could be sold to other companies that we're working with, and patents could also be sold.
Okay, for our development strategy, we're planning, designing, prototyping, and getting feedback, testing, redesigning, introducing to local hospital and medical students. After that, by 2025, we hope to franchise our product to make it accessible all over the UAE. So meet the team. Maheen, our head coder, me and Kita, our designers. Okay, the future of our company. We believe there's a lot of room of improvement, but this is a necessity that we need to have in the world. It can be used for educational purposes to educate medical students and the general public on the technique of CPR. Thank you.
Thank you. Go money.
Alrighty, thank you so much, guys. And that's going to conclude the presentations for the robotics module.
All right.
The second of our 2 modules was blockchain. And no, we were not learning how to get rich off of Bitcoin, which, by the way you do that is hold. We were exploring many of the different uses for blockchain, from medical fields to financial fields to social welfare fields. And presenting her project from this blockchain module is going to be Nilla. Thank you, Nilla.
Hey guys. Wrong way. So, hey guys, today I'm going to talk about my project, Bloomcoin. So, okay. So, oh wait, one more. Okay, from here, sorry. I'm sure all of you know that small businesses and low-income individuals have suffered immensely during COVID-19, with a lot of small businesses that relied on foot traffic and just local community interaction really suffering with the lack of that due to all the lockdowns and quarantines. That kind of interaction just hasn't been there. And this means that a lot of small businesses have lost the traction that they once had. And furthermore, low-income consumers who have lost a lot of their disposable income because of how many people have lost their jobs or have been laid off, they have less disposable income and choices on what they can spend their money on. And this, I'm sure as all of you know, has led to significant problems in our economy. So let me just talk about what is Bloomcoin. So Bloomcoin is a cryptocurrency. It is a token, and it was created with the intent to connect small businesses with low-income individuals. Basically, it is a coin that can be transacted between 2 parties, and it works on a permission blockchain. I'll talk about more of that as we go deeper into the project. So what is being tried already? I'm sure all of you have heard of COVID relief funds being given to people who have been laid off from their jobs, and small businesses have opened GoFundMes, and a lot of other funding operations have started. However, all of these have an unnecessary third party. You have the government, and everyone knows that with the flick of a finger or another election, these kinds of aids go away, and the people who need them most suffer. GoFundMes are also not a reliable source of income for businesses and make it hard for them to survive. It's an uncertain future. So what can Bloomcoin do that's different? Cool. So what can we do about it? So Bloomcoin can help in these situations because it utilizes blockchain to remove this middleman. It connects low-income individuals with the businesses they want to interact with. And I will get more into how it works. Cool. So there might be a few technical terms here, so please bear with me. But Bloomcoin will operate on a permissioned blockchain. This essentially means that users inside the blockchain can limit who acts on it. So that means that users can only allow certain businesses or certain people with the coin to use it, meaning that it prevents large companies from entering this blockchain and accepting transactions through Bloomcoin. Furthermore, through the way we're planning to release it, will hopefully work in a similar way to UBI, where with ICOs, we will have low-income individuals receive the coin first, meaning that we get it in circulation quick and easy. And also, I'm sure all of you are questioning, like, how are these transactions being verified? Because there is no bank with blockchain, but users themselves will verify these transactions. And I can talk more about how that'll work in the next slide. Okay, so cool. So using the potential of blockchain technology was essential for this problem. Because of the third person we mentioned earlier, this means that there's a lot of kind of middle work that was being done by this third party that now has to be done within the system. So this includes verifying transactions, as I mentioned earlier, and moderating who gets to work on this blockchain. So that is kind of why blockchain was chosen, because it puts communities in charge of what they can transact on and who they can transact with. Oh, okay. So what makes Bloomcoin different? You're probably thinking, oh, this is just like every other cryptocurrency. Well, no. For one, as I mentioned earlier, it will work on a permissioned blockchain, so only certain actors can operate on it. And also, it's not like other social welfare programs because they don't involve a third party, and they can be extremely beneficial to businesses as well, who can liquidize it easily and also use it as an asset, meaning that it appreciates in value or depreciates in value and just changes value, unlike cash or traditional income, which, as we all know, deflates or inflates because of inflation. And then furthermore, as cryptocurrencies as of now are taxed as an asset and not as an income, this means that tax policies for businesses will change, meaning that we can digitize these transactions. As a lot of small businesses relied on cash transactions to avoid paying taxes, and now we can convince them to digitize, making transactions safer and more secure. So what are the next steps? This is just an initial concept. There is a lot more work to do in order to make this a reality on any stream. For once, a lot of the cryptocurrencies that exist right now, as Noah mentioned earlier, are HODL or hold assets. So people like to hold them. However, Bloomcoin was created with the intention to be used for everyday transactions. So we need to understand how we can combat that and promote people to actually use the coin every day for everyday transactions. Furthermore, there's a lot of, it's important that we better target our target market of low-income consumers and small businesses, as this technology is relatively new and only experts have access to it. How can we make it more accessible and user-friendly for people who are completely new to it? So this is just a small summary of all the things we need to go into in order to make this real, but I think it's really cool, and I think Bloomcoin has a really promising future, and if implemented correctly, can really help a lot of people. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Nilla. And that is going to wrap up the module presentations for the showcase. Next off, we are going to take a little bit of break from some techie stuff and get into an original song written by Kita and Mila.
Does this work? Is this weird? We do not have a mic stand.
Yeah.
So we're being resourceful. I think, what do you think?
Switch positions? I think, yeah, that's what I
Would
wanted
the
to do.
live people hear us? They won't
Don't
hear
do
us?
let's just not do the mics. I think we'll be good. Hi everyone, I'm Nita, and this is Kita, and we wrote a song called Jane and Strawberries that is basically a collection of all the raw emotions we've been feeling this term in Dubai, so I hope you guys enjoy. Is thinking much of a choice? Or how will I ever get rid of this voice? It's tired of crying so hard. Or how will we ever move on from the past? Will I
beautiful. This is TGS Got Talent, by the way, in case you didn't know. Next up, we have another type of project that we do here at TGS, which Seken will be explaining as well as presenting his own.
Bismillah. So, what is mastery? Thank you. A mastery project is just like a passion project, but students are expected to create or to teach something. It's also a lot longer. Usually they last about a year. And my mastery project was Cyrus 3D. Sorry. So what is Cyrus? Cyrus is the company that I created. Basically, the project started back in 2020. I wanted to learn how to 3D model because I wanted to be an architect. And that's basically what I did. I spent a couple of months learning how to use software to 3D model things, mainly with a focus in architecture. Then I decided to create Cyrus 3D, which the vision of Cyrus 3D and my mission was to basically turn ideas into reality through 3D modeling. And now I'm going to show a couple of examples of my work. This was a house that I created when I traveled to Tulum. I walked around the city. I got inspired on the architecture, and I created this thing. As you can see, my work is focused on realism. I'm trying to achieve the more realistic images in order for, like, if I was an architect, I would be able to sell this house without actually constructing first. So selling and pitching the final product. Sorry again. Then this was probably my biggest project that I managed to work for. This is an actual construction that is being built in my city. It's an apartment complex that will be finished, I think, in a couple of years. And I was basically hired by the real estate company to create an animation and a 3D model of the building. As you can see, this is just a render, but in reality, the building is going to look like this once constructed. This wasn't really architecture. This was more me being artistic. Cyberpunk released, and I wanted to do like some fan art, so I created some promotional material for my company. As you can see, the S3 in the building and the S3 in the bus stop. Oh, this is also a really cool thing that I did. Basically, I managed to work with a lot of architects, and I basically turned their 2D plans into 3D models, and then they hired contractors, and those contractors actually built the thing. So this was the house. So yeah, this was basically the house I rendered, and this is about 6 months later with the advancements of construction. I was 16 when I did that, by the way. And this is the kitchen, same thing. This is the 3D render I created, and this is 6 months later, the construction advancements. This is actually a face mask that I created. I wanted to go a little bit more into robotics and innovation, so I worked on product modeling. This is a face mask that I prototyped with one of my friends back home. It was during the whole COVID pandemic, and we wanted to contribute. We wanted to create a new product. We were getting a lot of complaints of people not being able to breathe with the mask. So we created this face mask that has an inbuilt respirator system for airflow. This is basically another project that I work for. I basically got 2D plans by the client, and I turned it into 3D. And this is kind of like the final version. I really liked it. It's near the beach. It looks really realistic. I think this was one of my best works when it comes to realism, because as you can see, the water and, you know. This was actually one of my first renders. This was a remix from the course I'd taken. The house, I 3D modeled that in the course, but then I did the environment, and I wanted to make it look as realistic as possible. I worked with grass and with water and made everything as realistic as possible. And this is my latest product. I worked on this for the robotics module. Me and Shadi, where is him? Shadi, there he is. Yeah, this is a drone that's gonna deliver food just like any other delivery food company like Talabats and Kareem. So yeah, that's a good question. So we're planning to replace 1 million motorcycles with drones, hopefully. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys.
When I'm rich and famous, I will hire you to design my house. And next up, we have Metla, who's going to explain our community activities for the term.
Sorry, I have to sit down. I'm a bit sick. So today I'll showcase the TGS activities that aren't on the traditional academic calendar, such as Seaside Sundays and We Explore. So basically, Seaside Sundays. Seaside Sundays are days where we go to the beach and we participate in community building activities such as sand castle building competitions or capture the flags. And we also start our week with our school circle at the beach. It's a very cool way to start our week, and you can see our students having fun at the beach. And it's just a fun way to start off a Sunday. And then moving on, so I'm describing our We Explore experiences. Our We Explore experiences was a week where we got to rest from our academic duties and got to really get a deeper dive into the cultural aspects of the United Arab Emirates, where we got to do stuff like kayak in the Hatta Mountains and really go into like the industries of the United Arab Emirates, such as honey farming, and we got to visit beehives, and it was really cool because we got to get some insight into how the industries are in the United Arab Emirates. So on the second day of our We Explore, we were very blessed and lucky to meet Mr. Ali, who welcomed us into his house, where he told us stories about his business ventures. He's the king beehive man of the UAE, big deal man. Like, he has a little poster there, and he invited us in for dinner at his house, where we got to have lunch Emirati style. It was a real cultural experiences, and he has a very big house where we got to visit and hike on one of his mountains in his house. And then we ended the day off with hiking through the beautiful mountains this country has to offer. As you can see, our beautiful tour guide letting us hike through the beautiful mountains of the Emirates. On the next day, we got to start off our morning visiting a souk, buying stuff, really deep digging down into what it's like to be an Emirati, what the morning processes are. Like, it was a very powerful experience, as you can see us like looking for food in the morning. It was a it was a really like powerful experience. And then we got invited into more Emirati houses where we got to play games and engage in thought-provoking discussions, my discussions that we'll never forget. And then we got to go do some desert exploration where we met some famous people in the bus commercial. We did some car driving in the deserts, which was intense for some people because of all the movement. And we got to end off this beautiful day looking at stars and having dinner under the beautiful full-ish moon. And yeah, TGS tote bag, you should buy it. And then we came back to Dubai, where we started our day off at the Emirates Towers, where we got to see the future innovations this country has. And trust me, there's a lot. You can see every day when you're walking out that this country really is for the future. And then we ended off our day in Dubai here at the Old City to see the beauty, the simplistic beauty of the past of Dubai, and that we should still value and cherish this even though we're in a period of such heavy innovation. And our last day was in Sharjah, where we got to see a different perspective of the Emirates, where we got to see a more raw and authentic side, a side that was different, with different sides of wealth and we got to see the differences in wealth and people living. But it was a powerful experience. And we ended off the day with visiting the beautiful Sharjah masjids and seeing the lights. And there was no better way to end our beautiful We Explore. Yay.
All right, thank you so much, Metla. And our final presentation for the day is going to be Guillermo, who's going to be showing you guys another mastery. Come on, Guillermo.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. It's my birthday. I'm going to be talking a little bit about my final mastery, which explores film photography and zine making. My driving question that I wanted to, or that I started this project with, was how might the creation of multiple zines help me find a unique film photography style? In order to achieve this, I kind of dive deep really into where my passions lied at the moment. So I knew I had this really, really big passion for photography, but I really didn't know how to channel it with. That's when I find myself across a film camera. This just started, once I got this first roll of film, I found that this magic feeling that I could have never really imagined I could have access to through a normal digital camera. It was the most exciting feeling once that roll came back after 2 months of experiencing this country, or countries, to see those memories and reflect on our experiences in a much deeper and different way that I could have ever done before. And it was also in this seek for creative expression that I really didn't know how I could express through. I knew I had this creativity inside of me and that I wanted to express my feelings through, but I didn't really know how to. So that's when I started using film. So my advanced inquiry targets are kind of the main goals that we focus on a mastery project. So one of them being photography, which is focusing on film photography to create a set of aesthetically pleasing images and portraits to discover a personal style. Now that I've been doing this project, this is shifting a lot because I'm not really going anymore for the aesthetics, I'm going for the feelings. But it's really interesting to see how I started and what I thought film photography would look like. And then second is building a magazine, creating a small publication that uses original artworks as the focus while following a common theme and idea throughout that publication. So what exactly is a zine? It's kind of confusing, but actually it's really easy. It's kind of a magazine, but you make it at home. So this started in the early 1930s among people who liked science fiction and wanted to share comics, but just didn't have access to those. But then after, it's being really used for social activism, especially in the 60s. And that's how I find about this, about how these powerful messages were being shared through zines. This is actually, well, all of the photos that I've been showing are photos that I've been shooting with my camera, and that first image is my first issue of my zine that I made during my time in Oaxaca, which focused in this feeling of of invasion of privacy and growing as a teenager. And now a little bit more about my process here. I've been focusing more on the actual craftsmanship of what makes film and also zines. So I've had the opportunity to learn how to develop film in black and white, and that was really, really interesting when I am the one in charge of mixing the chemicals and seeing all of the process to actually seeing the final product, as well as taking a zine workshop and then finally working on my final zine that encapsulates my experience here in Dubai. So this is, if you had a chance to talk to me during booth time, you probably had a deeper look into the zine itself, but I am exploring what Dubai is and what is the difference between the cities that I've been before and what it is here. So I have explored this through taking multiple photo walks around this, actually the area that we're in, situated right now in Showcase, which is the Dubai Creek. and exploring that through my photography, which I believed was the place that wasn't made for tourists, but it was the place made for the people living here. And so how do these actually interact? How do people interact with the city and the environment, and how do I fit in? And I found myself being really uncomfortable most of the times, but that was really exciting. And this is what I came up with. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. That's my presentation.
Thank you so much, Gie. That was very beautiful. Can we please get another big round of applause for all of our presenters?
So with the presentations finished, all the presentations are finished now, so I'd just like to take this time to say that throughout the past 2 months in Dubai, we've had so many amazing experiences. We've learned so much. We've met so many amazing people, and all of it would not have been possible without a couple of really extraordinary individuals who we met along the way. So first off, I'd like to give an enormous thank you to Noura from eSwift Blockchain. Noura, over here. Well, thank you to Noura wherever you are.
And from the robotics module, we would really like to thank Mr. Shiraz Awan Habiba Ahmad from the Al Thuraya Astronomy Center. He allowed the robotics module to gaze beyond the stars, and we enjoyed every single moment of it. Another big thank you to Noor and his team from the Create for all the amazing workshops that really helped us kick off our robotics projects. Thank you so much.
And last but definitely not least, a huge shout out to The Knot for arranging our wigs floor, which was incredible. You can clap now. So, where is he?
Michelle to the rescue.
Go, Michelle!
Could someone from the Create, could someone from Create please come and get this present that we have for you guys? I will go give it to you. Wait.
And from The Knot, I don't, where is he? Oh, all right, there he is. All right, and thank you so much to all of those people, and there's so many other amazing people that we met, which, again, it would not have been possible without. And finally, to finish off the night, our principal, Annan, would like to say a few words. Uh-oh.
Thank you. You all have put an amazing, amazing exhibition of your work tonight. I say this every showcase, I don't get to see you in action when you're in your modules, when you're doing your projects. I get to hear about them. But when I see what you do at showcase, I have no words. I'm wowed. So congratulations to you all for amazing, amazing work.
Thank you.
We all know this term had its ups and downs, but we're ending on a high note. So enjoy the rest of the week that we have here. Safe travels home. A huge, huge thank you to everyone who helped us in the UAE to make this happen. It wouldn't have been possible with all of you. And of course, immense gratitude to all of your educators. We've had sleepless nights this term. We've had long hospital visits. We've had lockdowns, thanks COVID. But at the end of it, it all worked out. So, congrats. Final shout out one more time goes to our showcase squad. Michelle and Riley, Metla, Kita, Vicky. Who am I looking at? Nada, Guille, sometimes Kirsten. And our amazing MCs, Camille and Noah. Please enjoy the rest of the food. If anybody would like to hear more from the booths, grab them, question them. That's their job. Have fun.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's fire this off. Okay, all right, let's bring it over here. Let's bring it over here, bring it over here, bring it over here. All right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you got to turn that back on here. You got to turn it back on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us. Join us next time. We hope it was lovely. Signing off,